Hello, folks, and welcome to another episode of Voices in My Head with Basil Sands. And today he's got a very special guest. Her name is Andi Arndt. Andi Arndt what? No, her name is Andi Arndt. That's not even proper grammar. Andi isn't is the way you should say it. No, her name is Arndt. How can a person Arndt have a name? No, you don't understand. It's not spelled the same way you're hearing it. It's spelled A-R-N-D-T, Arndt. It aren't spelled right, is what I'm telling you. Someone needs to go check this out. We're going to go right to the show, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to verify the spelling and pronunciation of her name. Aren't and isn't. You have to get the syntax right. Bertold, you're 66 years old. You should know better than spreading bad grammar online. Oh, young'uns these days.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are with the lovely Andi Arndt, who's joining us all the way from Virginia, across the continent. Seems like a lot of the people that I interview are on the opposite side of the globe from me. Actually, I should take that back. A lot of people in general are on the opposite side of the globe from me. But we're here to discuss audiobooks and some of the great new ventures you've got going on and so on. So, Andi, how did you get into audiobooks in the beginning?
Now, this is the question I have about that question. Do you mean what got me interested in it, or how did I bust in?
What got you interested in it? In that direction.
Well, that is really goes all the way back to one of my favorite things to do when I was a kid was play with the microphone that plugged into the stereo, interview people, make funny sound effects. My parents liked listening to old radio plays, and so after I'd hear one, I'd think, I'd like to try to tell a story in, a little realistic condenser mic from Radio Shack. So, so I've always enjoyed audio stuff. I'm just audio sensitive, and it was just always something that I was aware of, and then at some point the awareness of it shifted into, I think I want to do that. So.
Were you an audiobook fan? Did you listen to them?
Not as much as I do now. The first time that I really listened as I might want to do this, I had gotten a job as an extra in the HBO film Game Change, which was about the 2008 election. And so I was an extra in some of the convention scenes, with Ed Harris playing John McCain and stuff like that. And I just decided to get Game Change, the book, to listen to, and that's narrated by Dennis Boutsikaris, which he's one of my favorite narrators. So I listened to it, and I thought it was so good that then I listened to it over again with my husband. That was our nighttime listening, and it's just great. So, yeah.
Oh, cool. Very good. So what did you do before audiobook narration?
Before audiobook narration, I spent a long time working in both theater as a teacher of acting and voice at James Madison University Theater Department, which is walking distance from my house, and also working full-time and then part-time still to this day as a sub at WMRA, which is our area's NPR affiliate.
Oh, cool.
I hosted classical music shifts. I've hosted everything except the blues show.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
there's not as many people as one would assume coming from radio into audiobooks.
Right. And I think there's sort of this, sometimes you get told when you're getting into any kind of voiceover, hush hush about the audio array, because it's can be code for I'm in love with my voice and I push my voice. But public radio, I think, is not so bad to accentuate because public radio emphasizes authentic voice, your actual voice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Rather than rock stations or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Morning. What's it called? Morning Zoo. All that. Yeah. No. Morning Zoo.
So, with that kind of background and that kind of, theater background seems to be a pretty important thing or a pretty common thing that I do run into with a lot of audiobook narrators that were stage actors or TV actors and then slide into this long form issue. How would you compare the two between stage acting and audiobooks?
Well, my voice training has definitely been helpful. Just understanding in a more complex way how to play with not just pitch, volume, and those kinds of things, but resonance and nasality, even under nasality, when a character's talking more like that. Just how to play with all the ways that you can differentiate one character from another is very helpful. Script analysis, character building, looking for clues in a script that might tell you something about how a character behaves or might sound. Very, very helpful. But obviously going from live theater in front of an audience where you're reaching the back row to, the microphone's right there. You don't have to, it's going to get even a whisper,
Right.
So, yeah, there's a sense of taking all of the theater energy and compressing it down. And
that's a good point to make. I ran into that when I was first starting off in this, trying to project to the back of the room when the microphone's right there. Yeah. That's a big common thing. So with now I understand you've got a new venture that you made public recently that's kind of growing right along. You've gone beyond just being a narrator to being a full-on producer. Tell us about this.
I have an interest in music, all kinds of music, but most recently what you might call American roots music. And it just so happens that I'm friends with a cluster of musicians and people who write about music who share that interest. And so through knowing them and knowing what books they're excited about, what they're talking about, I suddenly became aware that there's a pretty big backlist of books that are really important to that community that are not in audio. And here you have people who are touring the country in cars and vans, and they sometimes listen to music, sometimes don't listen to anything because they need some quiet. But I know a lot of touring musicians who their thing is audiobooks. And so the idea is, why not have audiobooks about a topic of interest to those touring musicians, narrated to them by people from within their tight community. So
Right. Well, that's pretty cool. So it's like a specialized niche within audiobooks.
Very focused.
Wow.
We're talking 2 or 3 titles a year. And it's, that gives me time to really do it right and enjoy the process. I just was in Nashville last week recording a book called Ralph Peer and the Making of Popular Roots Music that's going to come out this summer on Blackstone. And we had 3 Grammy Award-winning musicians as our narrators.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow. So now do you involve the music in the book as well? Have snippets of the music or intros and outros with it?
Yeah, this Ralph Peer book is huge for the music community and also the music business, because Ralph Peer was a pioneering A&R man who revolutionized, and to this day, the music business model is based pretty much on what he figured out how to do. He recorded the Carter Family. He recorded the first ever blues record. He recorded Louis Armstrong early on. He discovered Buddy Holly and the Crickets.
Wow.
I mean, and then the music publishing and licensing that he founded, that the company still exists now, the stuff, they have the rights to You Are My Sunshine, for Pete's sake. I mean, it's practically happy birthday,
That's almost like owning the moon.
Yeah. So it was a fascinating story. And along with that, the book, just this past week, they released what's called an enhanced ebook. And so what happens is, like, you're reading along on your, I don't have it up right now, but you're reading along on your iPad and you're reading about Crazy Blues, the first ever blues recording. And right here on the page is a little play button. You hit play and there's that historic recording.
Oh, wow.
While you're thinking about it, you can hear it. So that just came out. Then the audiobook will come out this July. And then in October, there's yet still another amazing book-related thing that's coming out. Not from me, but all of these things publicize each other because there's got to be another round of,
Right.
So it's great.
I'm gonna have to check those music books out. Both of my younger sons, actually all 3 of my sons, are musicians. And varying styles. One's into classical and violin and techno music. One's into jazz and ragtime and all that, and the other one's a jazz bassist in a band up in, of course, it's up here in Alaska, so they don't get as popularly known at other places, but they're all really into music. So
I think a lot of people in audiobooks have a music connection, and musicians work in studios. We work in studios. We've got this common work environment.
Right.
We're just attuned. We like stuff, good stuff in our ears.
Yeah. And do you find that having musicality within yourself makes doing audiobooks a little easier?
It can, because it can be a shorthand of sorts, but I've also been told to take it out of my performance when I'm narrating, to be less musical.
Interesting.
Because you can get sing-song.
That's true.
Yeah.
But you still need that inherent rhythm to get the wording and to get the breaths and
Yeah.
The beat to the book.
Sense of phrasing.
Yeah, there you go.
Sense of push-pull in the tempo.
Right. Now, you say you teach acting as well.
I did for 12 years at the undergraduate level. I taught basic acting, and I taught a class called Voice for the Stage. And the students who went through Voice for the Stage, it always filled up right away, which I was very proud of. They wanted more, so the department asked me to develop a Voice 2 class, and so I did that. And it was really fascinating to work with actors just on the instrument, and it improved what I know about what I can do, and and that whole thing.
That's a wonderful thing about teaching that I've found. I mean, I've been a teacher off and on at high school, college levels, and just various topics, pretty much whatever was needed. I was the fill-in guy for anything. And one thing that I've noticed is that doing teaching of a particular topic, especially one that you enjoy, ends up teaching the teacher as much or more than it does the students.
Absolutely.
You end up learning a lot by doing it and showing other people. So, that's pretty cool. Now, you're out there in Virginia. Do you find that it's pretty easy to get to other studios to work, or do you work
primarily in your own booth? Well, right here, next to my desk, is my Studio Bricks unit.
How do you like that Studio Bricks unit?
Really like it. And I can't remember if it was Paul Strickwerda who said, it'll change your life. You know? And it really has, because what happens now is if I want to work, I work. It used to be, I really want to get a couple chapters in. Oh, crap. Who's, like my neighbor who's, I could throw something and hit his house from here. When I first installed the Studio Bricks, I was in the middle of working, and I came out and I realized that he was having his tin roof power washed. And I didn't know it. Wow. That is awesome. It's pretty amazing. So now there was one time I had a live session back when I did smartphone demo voices for AT&T stores that I used to do. We would have these hour-long live sessions and do a couple of phones and, maybe 2 weeks later do some more. And I was all set for a live session one morning, and a big bucket truck pulled up to my neighbor's house, and I saw that he was going to have a giant tree taken down and then chipper shredder. Oh, geez. You name it. So I actually gave the tree guys a bunch of money and paid for their lunch and said, I will buy your lunch if you would have lunch from 11 to 12, please. Very nice of you. So that worked, but I don't have to do that anymore. They could have chainsaws going out there. That's awesome that's so quiet. I mean, I'm in a custom booth that I built that's relatively quiet, but I could hear a chipper shredder, or I could hear a tin roof being washed for sure. Wow, that's awesome. And you got that did you buy that new or used? I ordered it through Gerald Griffith, who runs the VO Atlanta conference down in Atlanta, had 2 units that were being shipped over for his exhibition hall. Oh, okay. He's got a lot of exhibitors. He's got an exhibitors hall as part of the conference, and he invited the Studio Bricks people to be exhibitors. and have 2 floor models. And so since they were coming anyway, I got into the process just in time to get to pick the colors.
Oh,
And
wow, nice.
yeah,
Nice. So that's pretty cool, because I know those are made in Spain and not easily available in North America until recently. I know that now there's a distributor in Canada. So.
And California, Krista Lewis is now the West Coast Studio.
Really?
Yes, she is.
I did not know that.
Studio City, California. Krista, you owe me.
There you go. Free advertising there.
But yeah, I really like it a lot. And I like that it's modular, so if we move, I can dismantle it and remantle it where we go.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, the one I'm in, I could dismantle it, but it weighs a couple 1,000 pounds. It's on wheels, but it won't fit through any doors. So, now what kind of titles you've got? How many books do you have out there?
75.
Yeah. What have you tried to stick within certain genres, or you just kind of do whatever comes your way? What kind of books do you prefer, and what kind of books do you get?
Well, my favorite books are literary fiction, or books that are very, very much in the literary vein, where there's just a sense of art to the writing, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I love a beautifully crafted sentence that makes me stop and go, wow, that's just exactly how that feels, isn't it? Or, that's what I seek out in books for myself, for example. So I love when those come along, but I have also developed a niche and a special place in my heart for contemporary romance, which I never really expected would happen because I wasn't a big romance novel reader, earlier in my life. But what I have learned is that a lot of romance writers now, it's an escape for the reader, but it's also for some authors a way to confront very real relationship issues. And the characters are totally three-dimensional, including the men. They're not just like some
stud muffin,
right,
there for the girl to vent on.
Yeah, and so my big thing has been a 4-book series by an Australian writer called Kylie Scott. It's called the Stage Dive series, and there's a band called Stage Dive, and it has 4 different members, lead singer, guitarist, drummer, bassist, and each guy gets his own book and his own love story.
Oh, wow.
And her fans are just like, the 4th one just came out, all these people had it pre-ordered, and the next day on Facebook, they were like, well, I finished it, now what? I want another book.
Oh, man. No stress, no pressure.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That sounds pretty cool. That's, romances can be a very different kind of feel. I'm actually doing my first ever actual romance.
Oh, yeah?
Now, me. Picture this.
You like it?
It's actually pretty fun. It's actually, I get to, it's a British book, so I get to play the British love interest the entire series of this book, and it's very wonderful.
Excellent.
And, it's different. I've done a couple other books that were written as a...
Is that like the Midwestern different? Are you using the Midwestern different?
Well, this is, I don't know what that different would be.
That's like when someone says, oh, I saw that movie the other night. Oh, what'd you think of it? It's different.
Well, yeah, so something like that, yeah. Because I've done a couple of what would be called chick lit books that were put up as thrillers, but were very more like a romance, and it was a weird feeling from a male perspective, the way that it was written. So it was almost like I was inside my wife's head and seeing me through that, and I was like, oh no, what? So I was getting all emotional and stuff about it, getting very self-condescending.
Interesting.
But this one's really fun. This is a good book. Anyway, so what advice would you give to new narrators or people getting into the business that are pretty fresh?
Performance or business advice?
Either. What would be, if someone said, what can you tell me about doing audiobooks, and they just left it at that, what would be the thing that would pop to your head?
Theater and voice training. Of course, I'm prejudiced because that's how I came to it. But really, in order to have a character range and some staying power and the ability to not sound the same on every single book, to develop the performance side of what they're doing, to be very patient. One of my favorite pithy expressions that I heard along the way, because I read advice as it comes up, is remember when you freelance, you are a gardener, not a hunter.
That's good advice.
Isn't that great? Down. So it's not about finding your quarry and picking them off, right? It's about planting seeds all the time and kind of forgetting about them. And then coming, you might be like, oh my gosh, I forgot I even planted that. That is gorgeous. Look at that just came up, and just being much more patient and cultivating and paying attention to long-term relationships. You don't need to be so raring to go that people can smell desperation,
Right.
Have a life, have some goals. And part of the thing with my production company is if I have a dry spell where there aren't any books for a while, I can work on my stuff. What are some books that I should be looking into and who would be a good narrator for that? And it gives me too, yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That is very cool. Good forward thinking. And that's, but I really like that garden thing.
Isn't that great?
That's a great picture, and I hope I remember it. I'll have to watch this video a few times. Make sure that I got all your cool. So now you won an Audie.
No, I was nominated.
Nominated for an Audie.
Yes.
How did that feel when you got that? I mean, we've got about the same number of books out there. And I would be like, oh, my God, am I ready for this? No way.
Well, it was pretty crazy because I saw that the press release came out. So I clicked on it with the intention of finding out who among our colleagues had gotten nominated so I could get busy congratulating people. So I pulled up the press release, and just out of curiosity, I did hit Control F. And I put in my name just to make sure that I wasn't on the list so I could go on with the congratulating. And my name popped up. And I went, what?
Wow.
And then Simon Vance tagged me in a congratulations post, and that was really weird. I think I screenshotted that. So it was pretty crazy. I think that night I got sparkling cider for my daughters and champagne for me and my husband, and gathered everybody around and said, I want to tell you guys something. And when I mentioned what happened, my younger daughter said, but Mom, you said that would never happen.
Wow. Great feeling. I bet you they were pretty excited too. Mom's a star.
Well, it was just, and it was an ensemble cast.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always that feeling of like, well, it must have been because of the other people, but then I thought, well, wait, hold on a second. There were enough short story collections that probably everybody in that ensemble had to all be strong enough for that one to go forward. So, because, there's always that tendency to go, that can't be real. But,
Right.
Yeah. It was a great collection, though. It was Tom Perrotta, who wrote Little Children. That was Kate Winslet was in the movie of that book.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a great author, and those stories were right up my alley, topic-wise. And I like things that are a bit discomforting.
Mm. Right, things that make you think, or
that make you go, that's true. I don't like that that's true, but that's true. So,
right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Well, I just keep my fingers crossed that someday but at least I can say I know people who, so that's cool.
It's pretty cool. It's just, the work is the reward,
Right.
And when something like that happens, it's great. And I'm happy for everybody who's going this year, excited for them. They're going to have a great night. I'm sitting out the whole thing this year so I can go next year and really do it up. And
Right. Yeah, well, that is awesome. Well, I have the leprechauns had some questions that they wanted to ask you, and so they're gonna come up. You guys, you want to come up? We'll be right up, Basil. Okay, here we are. My brothers and I are here, and oh, she's a pretty lady. Look at that. That's much better than those blokes you've been interviewing lately. Okay, we have some question for you, if you don't mind. My name is Neely. I'm the second of four brothers. My brother Feely would be here, but he had a little bit too much lager last night, I'm afraid. So the other two are here, though, because, well, Berthold doesn't drink, and Buffin, he just goes right tell him. So, here we go. We're going to ask you this question. This is a deep, philosophically revealing question of the interview, the one where we see deep into the heart of Andi Arndt, and that would be you, I believe. If a taller than you expected leprechaun, because we do sometimes reach as much as 5 feet tall in especially significant years, well, also we reach 5 feet tall sometimes if you get on that hanging upside down thing Basil's got in his living room. You can stretch if you pull it to the floor. Yeah, but that's not what we're talking about here. Keep it to the subject. If a tall leprechaun suddenly appeared before you and granted you 4 wishes, did you know that 3 is actually the norm for genies, but genies aren't real. They're mythological beings. We're more real and considerably more generous too. If you got 3 wishes, stop interrupting, brothers. If you got 3 wishes, just what? Oh no, 4 wishes. If you got 4 wishes, just what 4 wishes might you wish for, lady?
Number 1, a lifetime deal with Sweetwater where I could have anything I wanted for free.
Ooh, free stuff's nice.
Free stuff from Sweetwater.
Do they make salty water too?
I've never asked. I just like the candy that comes with stuff when you order. Like, bit of honey, yay, you know. Let's see. Yeah, lifetime free stuff from Sweetwater would be one thing. That would be pretty cool. A few extra hours in the day. Every day would probably be nice.
That would be nice, but then would that mean that the night would be shorter?
I would put 2 more hours in the workday, I think. I always have more that I want to get done than I can get done.
I see.
In a given workday. Yeah.
I see. That could go good. But we'd all have to change our watches. Because if you suddenly had a 26-hour day, it'd be hard to do the math every day, you know.
But the wish would take care of all that.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Stop interrupting the lady.
No, it's a wish. Let's see. I would like an amazing audio studio located in a retreat on an island somewhere so that I could just fly my family to an island.
Jeez. A tropical island, I would assume.
Yeah, and work a few hours a day and then go swimming, go to the beach.
So we'd be talking about someplace in the lower latitudes, not like in the North Sea or the Arctic Ocean.
No, someplace warm.
Okay, that makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, one more wish for you.
One more wish for me. Oh, well, one more wish. I can't think of any. Life is good, so I don't spend a whole lot of time wishing for stuff. $1 million? I don't know.
Well, that could work. Or you could wish to have your own leprechauns living in your house. We do great cooking, and we do great cleaning, and we're always looking for places to stay when Basil gets mad.
I would start a leprechaun Airbnb.
There you go.
And you can come hang out with my little friend.
Oh, hey, how'd you get him so small? That's our cousin Samuel.
He's bigger.
All right, well, thank you very much, my lady. It's been wonderful talking to you, and you have a lovely smile, and your husband's a lucky man, and enjoy the rest of the day. We're going to turn it back over to Basil now. Okay, guys, thanks. Go back home. So, thank you very much, Andi. It's been great chatting with you. And great answers there, by the way. Sometimes those guys can get a little rowdy and be a little bit curious. But awesome. Any last comments, parting comments you would like to say for the audience?
Well, just thank you for doing this because I've watched some of this series and it's just so great to hear different people's approaches and, see what color their wall is in their office.
Well, it's a lot of fun, and I feels like sometimes I feel like I'm cheating because I'm like getting free coaching by pretending to be talking to you guys when I'm actually taking notes under the table.
Gardener, hunter.
There you go. Perfect. All righty. Well, thank you very much, and have a great day. Say bye.
Bye.
Okay, well, I guess I have an apology to make. Her name actually is Andi Arndt. A-R-N-D-T, not Arndt as in are not. So, I'm sorry, Berthold. I won't slap you in the head again like that. If you don't mind, though, make sure, maybe write it down next time and I won't bother you so much. Oh, that's okay, Feely. I don't mind getting corrected by someone when they're actually wrong, because I know that in the end I will win and I will be justified and everything will be okay. What? Are you saying you'll set me up? No, I'm not saying I set you up. I'm just saying I'm smarter than you and it's easier just to go ahead and let you do your thing and then humiliate yourself. Oh, thanks, brother. Love you too. Anyway, now you get to go do the dishes. Basil! Bertold's doing the dishes for the next week because he humiliated me. Oh, whatever. That's okay. This has been Voices in My Head, episode 14. And it's also copyright 2015 by Sandman Production Studios of Alaska and Basil Sands. Matter of fact, so are we. Bertold. Okay, I'm going to do the dishes.